Imagine a company that began as a tiny optical workshop in 1933 Japan and went on to redefine how billions capture memories, from film to digital, from mechanical precision to silicon brilliance. This is Canon's story, a tale of obsession, innovation, and resilience that shaped photography as we know it. But what if I told you Canon's greatest strength wasn't technology, but timing? You're watching Alt Buzz Archives, where we dive deep into the stories behind history's most iconic innovations. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss these untold legacies. Precision over profit. That was Canon's DNA from the very start. 1933, Tokyo, a small apartment. A group of engineers huddled around optical instruments, sketching dreams that seemed impossible. They called themselves the Precision Optical Instruments Laboratory. Not a grand name, not a corporate empire. It's just precision, just ambition. The world was different then. Photography was dominated by German manufacturers, Leica, Zeiss, names that commanded respect and premium prices. Japan was seen as a follower, not a leader, a nation of imitators, not innovators. But these engineers saw an opportunity. They saw Japanese talent being underestimated. They saw craftsmanship that could rival anyone. And they saw a chance to prove the world wrong. 3 years later, in 1936, they unveiled the Hansa Canon, Japan's first high-quality 35mm camera. It featured a focal plane shutter, precision optics, and build quality that shocked the photography establishment. This wasn't a cheap imitation. This was genuine competition. At a time when the world relied on German optics, when Leica ruled supreme, these engineers in Tokyo dared to believe. They dared to prove that Japan could rival the West. Their dream wasn't fame. It wasn't wealth. It was freedom. Freedom from dependence. Freedom to show the world what Japanese craftsmanship could achieve. Freedom to tell their own story through their own lenses. Then came the war, the darkness, the devastation, the silence. Factories destroyed, resources depleted, dreams deferred. The world burned, and with it, the hopes of millions. But out of those ashes, something powerful emerged, something that refused to die. By 1947, Canon Camera Company was officially born, rising from the ruins with renewed purpose. The post-war economic boom in Japan provided the perfect backdrop. A nation rebuilding, a people hungry for progress, and Canon at the forefront, ready to lead. By 1959, they introduced the Canon Flex, their first 35mm single-lens reflex camera, a milestone that announced Canon's intentions loud and clear. They weren't just making cameras. They were building a legacy. Out of the ruins of war, Canon wasn't rebuilding a company. It was rebuilding Japan's confidence. One camera at a time, one innovation at a time, one believer at a time. The camera that changed photography forever. By the 1970s, photography was for the few, expensive, mechanical, intimidating. Cameras were complex machines that demanded skill, patience, and deep pockets. Heavy bodies, manual everything. Light meters you had to interpret. Aperture rings and shutter speed dials that required understanding of exposure triangles. Enthusiasts watched from the sidelines. Professionals gate-kept the craft. And the dream of owning a real camera, a single-lens reflex camera, remained just that for millions. A dream. Canon looked at this landscape and asked a simple question. What if everyone could shoot like a pro? What if automation didn't mean compromise? What if making photography easier didn't mean making it less capable? What if technology could democratize an art form without dumbing it down? April 1976, the Canon AE-1 arrives, and with it, a revolution nobody saw coming. The world's first microprocessor-equipped single-lens reflex camera. The world's first camera that thought for you. Shutter speed priority mode. Through the lens metering with automation. A central processing unit inside a camera body. Something that seemed like science fiction just years before. You set the shutter speed. The camera calculated the aperture. Simple, elegant, revolutionary. But here's the genius that people often miss. Canon didn't just make it smart. They made it affordable. They made it accessible. They made it real. By completely redesigning the manufacturing process, by pioneering computerized production lines, they reduced the parts count by 300 components, 300 fewer pieces to assemble, 300 fewer points of failure, simpler assembly, lower cost, higher reliability, faster production. This wasn't just engineering, this was vision. And suddenly the single lens reflex wasn't a luxury reserved for professionals and wealthy hobbyists. It was a possibility, a real attainable possibility for students, for parents, for travelers, for anyone who wanted to capture life with quality and control. For the first time, technology didn't separate people. It empowered them. Canon turned art into access. The advertising campaigns reflected this democratization. Young people, everyday moments, not just professional shoots or exotic locations. The message was clear. This camera is for you, not just them. The AE-1 became one of the best-selling cameras ever made. Not because it was the most advanced, not because it had the most features, but because it was the most human. It understood that photography wasn't about the machine. It was about the moment, the memory, the meaning. Millions of units sold, countless memories captured, entire generations introduced to serious photography through one revolutionary camera. And just like that, photography went from a hobby for the rich to a passion for the world. The AE-1 didn't just change Canon's trajectory, it changed photography's trajectory. It proved that automation and quality could coexist, that making something easier didn't make it less legitimate, that the future belonged to those who made technology serve people, not the other way around. Canon bets everything on a future no one believed in. The 1980s arrived. The world of film was perfect, or so everyone thought. Film was tangible, it was romantic, it was proven. Kodachrome, Velvia, Tri-X, names that photographers spoke with reverence. The grain, the color rendition, the archival quality, the ritual of loading film, advancing frames, rewinding, developing, printing. Why change? Why risk everything on unproven digital sensors and uncertain futures? Why abandon a medium that had served photography faithfully for over a century? But Canon saw something others didn't. They saw the end of an era approaching. Not tomorrow, not next year, but approaching nonetheless. And they didn't wait for it to arrive. 1987, Canon launches the EOS system, electro-optical system, a complete redesign, a bold reimagining of what a camera system could be. A new lens mount, the EF mount. Electronic focus instead of mechanical coupling. Faster communication between lens and body. Smarter, more capable, future-proof. And here's the bold part. The part that took courage most companies don't possess. They abandoned the old FD mount. Completely, entirely. No looking back. Cameras that photographers had invested thousands in, suddenly incompatible. Lenses that defined Canon's legacy, left behind. An entire ecosystem, orphaned. Loyal customers were furious. Forum posts raged. Letters were written. How could Canon betray them like this? How could they throw away decades of investment? How could they force everyone to start over? But Canon wasn't betraying anyone. They were saving them from a future where incremental improvements would hit a wall, where mechanical limitations would strangle innovation, where the competition would leapfrog them because they were too afraid to evolve. Because that gamble, that painful, controversial gamble, paved the way for the future. The EF mount became the foundation for decades of innovation. Autofocus evolved from crude to lightning fast. Image stabilization followed. Ultrasonic motors made lenses whisper quiet. And when digital arrived, really arrived, Canon was ready. September 2000, the EOS D30. Canon's first digital single-lens reflex built around a Canon-developed complementary metal oxide semiconductor sensor. 3.25 megapixels. Not groundbreaking resolution, but groundbreaking vision. This wasn't just a film camera with a sensor bolted on. This was a true digital vision. Purpose-built, forward-thinking. November 2001, the EOS 1D. Canon's professional digital flagship. 4.15 megapixels, 8 frames per second, built like a tank. Designed for photojournalists and sports shooters who needed reliability under pressure. When the world laughed at digital, when professionals scoffed at the quality and skeptics predicted it would never match film, Canon doubled down. If you're enjoying this journey through Canon's boldest decisions, make sure to subscribe to Alt Buzz Archives. We uncover how every iconic tech brand defied the odds to reach greatness, and that risk, that bet on an uncertain digital future, it would soon redefine photography forever. The camera that made film obsolete. September 24th, 2002. Canon unveils the EOS 1DS at Photokina in Cologne, Germany, and the professional photography world stops. 11.1 megapixels, full-frame sensor, 35.8 by 23.8 millimeters, the exact size of a 35 millimeter film frame. For the first time, digital didn't imitate film, it surpassed it. Before the 1Ds, digital cameras were compromises, cropped sensors that changed your lens focal lengths, limited dynamic range that crushed shadows and blew highlights, color science that felt artificial, file sizes that choked computers. Professionals clung to film not out of nostalgia, but out of necessity. Digital just wasn't there yet. But the 1Ds changed the equation completely, irrevocably. It delivered the resolution professionals demanded, prints as large as film could produce, the color depth they craved, 16-bit processing, the reliability they depended on, weather sealing, robust build, professional-grade everything. The full-frame sensor meant no more multiplication factors. A 50mm lens was a 50mm lens again. Wide-angle lenses were truly wide. The perspective photographers knew intimately remained unchanged. Suddenly, film wasn't the gold standard anymore. Digital was. Camera of the Year in Japan, Camera of the Year in Europe. Awards poured in from photography organizations worldwide, but the real validation came from the photographers, the ones who switched, the ones who realized they could finally let go of film without letting go of quality, control, or creative vision. Wedding photographers embraced it first, the ability to see results immediately, to adjust on the fly, to deliver digital files clients increasingly demanded. The math was simple. 1Ds replaced countless rolls of film, hours of darkroom time, and the anxiety of wondering if you got the shot. Photojournalists followed, war correspondents in Iraq, sports shooters at the Olympics, editorial photographers for magazines. The instant transmission capabilities meant deadlines met, stories filed faster, images published while they still mattered. Studio artists were the last holdouts, the most skeptical, but even they eventually surrendered. The control, the consistency, the ability to see lighting instantly, to make creative decisions in real time rather than waiting for test rolls to return from the lab. From the AE-1 to the 1Ds, Canon didn't just evolve, it led every revolution, every paradigm shift, every moment when the industry held its breath and wondered what comes next. And here's what made it brilliant. What separated Canon from every other manufacturer making digital promises. Canon preserved the ecosystem. The EF mount they introduced in 1987, that controversial, painful break from the past, still compatible, completely, fully. Lenses bought 15 years earlier, still usable. Investments protected, trust maintained. Professional photographers with 20, 30, 50 lenses in their arsenal didn't have to start over. Their glass, their most valuable assets, remain relevant. Canon understood something fundamental that many companies forget. Technology changes, but relationships endure. Burn your customers once, they might forgive you. Burn them twice, they're gone forever. The fall that never broke Canon. Early 2010s. The smartphone era begins, and with it, an extinction-level event for the camera industry. Suddenly, everyone has a camera in their pocket. Not just any camera, a good camera, high-quality sensors, computational photography, instant sharing to billions. No learning curve, no extra equipment, no separate device to carry and maintain. The dedicated camera market collapses. Between 2010 and 2020, camera sales plummet by over 80%. 80%. The numbers are staggering, devastating, industry-ending. Giants stumble. Nikon struggles to find footing, hemorrhaging market share and profitability. Olympus retreats, eventually selling its entire imaging division. Panasonic pivots desperately. Pentax becomes a shadow. Samsung exits entirely. Brands that dominated for decades vanish or become irrelevant. The industry that Canon helped build is dying. The golden age is over. The mass market has spoken. Phones are enough, but Canon doesn't die with it. Why? Because Canon understood something crucial, something written into their DNA from those 1933 founders. When the mass market disappears, you don't chase it desperately. You redefine who you serve. They doubled down on professionals. High-end digital single-lens reflex cameras that cost more than most people's first cars. The EOS 5D Mark IV, the EOS 1DX Mark II. Cameras that could survive rainstorms, dust storms, and the chaos of professional use. Cinema cameras that Hollywood embraced. The Cinema EOS line, the C300, the C700. Tools that appeared on movie sets alongside cameras costing 10 times more. Digital cinema democratized, just like the AE-1 democratized photography 40 years earlier. Lenses that cost more than most people's entire camera kits. Professional glass with legendary image quality. The 70 to 200 mm f2.8, the 300 mm f2.8, the 400 mm f2.8, lenses that became investments, tools that held value, optics that defined careers. And they invested heavily in mirrorless technology. The EOS R system launched in 2018, full-frame mirrorless. The RF mount, even shorter flange distance, even more optical possibilities. Lenses that couldn't exist before. The RF 28 to 70 mm f2, constant f2 aperture in a zoom. Physics-defying engineering, and they diversified intelligently. Printers that preserved memories in homes worldwide. Medical imaging that saved lives in hospitals. Industrial optics that enabled manufacturing precision. Broadcasting equipment that captured sports, news, and events globally. Security cameras monitoring cities. Astronomical sensors peering into space. Canon became more than a camera company. It became an imaging technology company. Sensors and optics applied everywhere light matters. When the world started taking photos on their phones, the giants stumbled. Nikon, Olympus, Pentax, but Canon survived, adapted, endured. Canon didn't fight the storm, it became the lighthouse, steady, visible, guiding those who still valued craft over convenience, quality over quantity, intention over impulse. Why do photographers still worship a 50-year-old camera? Walk into any vintage camera shop today, browse online collector forums, Visit film photography meetups in Brooklyn, Tokyo, Berlin, Melbourne, and you'll see it everywhere. The Canon AE-1. Not just preserved behind glass, not just remembered in history books, loved, used, cherished. Young photographers, people born in the 2000s, people who grew up with digital, people who never knew a world without instant preview and unlimited frames, actively seek it out. They save money, they hunt eBay, they visit flea markets and estate sales. And when they find one in good condition, they treasure it. They load it with 35mm film, film they have to buy, film that costs money per frame. They wind the advanced lever, they hear that mechanical symphony of gears and springs. They listen to that distinctive shutter click, that satisfying, substantial, real sound that no digital camera can replicate. Why? In an age of computational photography, of artificial intelligence that automatically enhances every image, of phones that take stunning photos without thought, why would anyone choose a 50-year-old mechanical camera? Because the AE-1 represents something we've lost. Something digital, for all its power and convenience and capability, can never quite replicate. Simplicity, tactility, intention, consequence. With the AE-1, every frame costs money. Every shot demands thought. There's no spray and pray, no shooting 100 frames hoping one works. No delete button, no instant review, no second chances. Just you, the camera, and the moment. Pure, honest, unforgiving. You have to think about exposure, about composition, about focus, about whether this moment truly deserves to be captured. Photography becomes deliberate again, meaningful again, precious again. For collectors, it's not just a camera, it's a connection to a different era, a feeling, a philosophy, a reminder of when photography was pure, when the journey mattered as much as the destination, when patience was required and rewarded. And Canon knows this. They see the film renaissance happening, the vinyl record effect occurring in photography. They see young creators returning to analog, seeking authenticity in a world drowning in pixels and filters and artificiality. They see Instax cameras flying off shelves. They see film stocks that were discontinued being brought back by popular demand. They see dark rooms reopening. They see a generation that grew up digital choosing analog deliberately. The AE-1 lives on, not in factories but in hearts, in hands, in camera bags carried by people who appreciate what it represents. From shutters to sensors, Canon's soul never changed. Only its tools did. Today, Canon builds the EOS R5, the R3, the R6 Mark II. Mirrorless marvels with eye-tracking autofocus that locks onto subjects almost psychically. 8K video capability, in-body image stabilization measuring 8 stops. Computational features that feel like magic. Technology that would seem like absolute science fiction to those engineers in 1933 Tokyo. Cameras that can see in darkness, that can freeze hummingbirds in flight, that can track athletes across a field automatically, that can record video at resolutions exceeding most people's televisions. But the philosophy remains unchanged. Make it precise, make it accessible, make it matter. Serve the creator, empower the vision, never let technology become the barrier. 92 years, from a small workshop to a global empire, from the Hansa Canon to mirrorless marvels, from film to artificial intelligence. Canon's legacy wasn't built on being first, it was built on being unyielding. The AE-1 proved that technology should serve creativity, not complicate it. The 1Ds showed that digital could surpass our dreams, and Canon's survival through decades of upheaval proves that true innovation is about adaptation. Today, Canon manufactures sensors that capture images from space, lenses that peer into operating rooms and broadcast stadiums, printers that preserve memories for generations, technology that touches billions of lives in ways most never consider. The tools change. The medium evolves, but the mission remains. Capture what matters. If stories like these inspire you, if you believe that behind every great invention lies a story waiting to be told, then subscribe to Alt Buzz Archives, because we're just getting started.